Guys, today the kit we're going to be taking a look at has a special place in my heart simply because the first time I ever went to Japan was in 2009, and when I was there visiting Akihabara for the very first time, I remember seeing this kit all over the damn place, and I never bought one at that time, even though I did buy a bunch of kits while I was there. That's because this kit had just come out at the time, and I thought it was cool because it has my name on it, even though the spelling is different. Mine is spelled with an H, not a K. But it just was a pretty odd design, not something that I was necessarily very into, but I just have that memory that I can remember just stacks of this kit, and it was my first time ever being in Japan and seeing that, like seeing these Gunpla stores in Akihabara where you have all these stacks of kits, and especially every time there's a new kit that comes out, they have it like right front and center with a big stack of them. So it was such a cool thing to see, and I just remember seeing loads of these Eye-Zacks piled up there at the time, so it was really cool. But anyway, now, more than 10 years later, I'm finally going to actually be building the kit and reviewing it here with you guys, so it's going to be really cool. This is obviously like the reconnaissance type Zeon mobile suit, very unique design, and I think it's going to make for probably really cool kit bashing fodder, which is maybe probably what I'm going to end up doing with this. But let's go ahead and check out the box and the kit. There's one thing I love about the box is that they had to put two illustrations on here. Now obviously we always usually have like the main illustration of the mobile suit and then like some background image, especially from like this era of HGUC. That's kind of how they did it. But they had to put two on here because they had to show the backside and how cool that is, especially with like this whole track for like a second camera eye that can move around here on the back underside of that big massive head part. That's pretty cool. On the other ends of the box here, this is number 96 in the HGUC line. So yeah, again, this came out in 2009. On the bottom of the box, there's just a front and back look of what the kit looks like when it's all painted up. Now, I don't think this really necessarily comes with any weapons, I don't believe, really. No, it's basically just kind of what you got there. It's this reconnaissance mobile suit, right? But it's got that cool backpack and obviously that big massive head. It got some information there about that. And then here it is with a blue Gelgoog, interestingly enough. Take it around here to the other side of the box. There you can see that part on the top of the head will move. It will rotate around. The mono eye can move. It's just, again, pointing out the track for the mono eye there on the back of the head as well too, and then just more detailed shots of that. It's got a crotch antenna, and it looks like it maybe does have a shield included, so at least that's something. Got some more information there, and then the list price of 1,600 yen for this guy. Around 15-20 bucks max for this kid, not too bad at all. Just basically two bags of runners there, and our instruction manual. So like usual, we got some information about it over here. Armaments, it's got a Zaku machine gun custom, but does it? Oh, it does, in blue. Interesting. Okay, so there's just a nice big painted reference image there of it. Again, it's got the head antenna and crotch antenna for double antenna action there. Oh, here you can see there's with the Zaku machine gun, so it does have that. And it should have a shield in there as well too, right? So there's that, but some nice details all around. The proportions, not kind of interesting, and the action, the articulation, I'm guessing probably not going to be that great on this kit either. It looks pretty basic, but it's the design that we're looking for, right? So here's the color guide down there at the bottom as well, all in Japanese. On the inside, we got some more information about the mobile suit here, and some information about the radome on the head, all this stuff. Again, really cool design, but it reminds me a lot of the Hi-Zack here, obviously, where it's an interesting design, but the kit itself doesn't really look that impressive, but you know, we'll see. Anyway, here is the parts list. You can see we're gonna have some leftover parts on there, which I'm guessing are probably all from the Hi-Zack, I would imagine. So there's a few X's on there. But anyway, so here is the foil sticker sheet. Pretty minimal, actually, less than what I was expecting, but you can see that big red line on there is going to be for the radome, so we won't have an actual red piece for the radome, unfortunately. It must be a sticker. Then one here for the mono eye, and then this darker blue one there as well too. PC 123 here for our polycaps in gray. And so yeah, the first few runners here are all going to be just from the HGUC Hi-Zack. So this one, as you can see, runner A here is in 4 colors. We got some gray parts down here for the piping bits, which is in like a softer type plastic. And then some light blue, a couple of red pieces up there in a darker red kind of color, and then some of our kind of darker blue, more straight up kind of royal blue over here. And then runner B as well is just full of parts in our royal blue color. It's not for me, it's a very toy looking blue color, to be honest. Then runner C here, once again, also from the original Hi-Zack, with the exception of this section of the runner here is what's new for this kit. So some new parts for the head and some new parts for the shoulder armor that are added on to this version, but it's in a very Goof Custom style, light blue, baby blue kind of color here. And then runner D is the full new runner specific to this version of the kit. So you got some new head parts on here, new backpack parts in the 2 different colors of blue. You got a yellow part up there and one other gray part down here for the face as well. So that is that, guys, plain and simple. This should be a pretty interesting one. Let me go ahead and get it built up and we'll see how it looks. Well, alright guys, goofy as it is, here's how it looks all built up. Definitely not the most flattering color scheme, I'm going to be honest, straight out the box. Those colors, especially the darker blue, just like I said before, it looks very toyish, so straight out the box, not really going to be the best looking kit. That said, I think, even if you don't want to fully paint the kit, just doing a little bit of panel lining on there and some of the details, and then definitely give this a coat of some matte top coat, it'll look a lot better. I mean, once you get the shine off there, it'll certainly help that blue not to look quite so toy-like, not being so shiny. But of course, painting it going to be your best option if you want to go that far with it. Now, there are definitely some modifications I would certainly make to this as well too if I were to paint it, but we'll go through everything here in detail. This kit starting off with taking a look at some of its limited accessories here. Let's go ahead and check out those first. So basically what we've got here is the Hi-Zack's version of the Zaku machine gun with a trigger finger hand option, which I've got on there at the moment. All in blue, the hand all in blue, everything all in blue. The camera there on that's kind of interesting. You got a seam line on that, a seam line on the gun as well there too. Pretty simple. The side handle does come out to the side, does move like that, so you got a little bit of movement there, but overall it's going to be pretty basic, not very impressive by any means. And the same thing kind of goes for the shield as well too. Once again, this is just the same Hi-Zack shield you have here. This will just plug around here onto the back side of the arm, either arm I should say. You can choose which one you want to plug this onto, but that does fit onto there, and it is kind of a struggle with this big part here on the backpack getting kind of in the way. You can't really move that onto the back of the arm very easily without having it bent like that up underneath this big tank there on the backpack. Now you do have some leftover parts that are somewhat interesting. If you prefer to have the spiked shoulder armor or this shoulder armor here from the original just Hi-Zack kit, you've got those in here, or you can just toss these into your spare parts bin, use them for some other kit bash or something later. You also have the parts for the head, so if you for whatever reason didn't want to use this head, you can make just the regular Hi-Zack head on here. Obviously you'd have to use the internal part from that one, so you can't have this full head and this one at the same time, or you could make, like, just scratch build a new internal part here for the inside of the head. Wouldn't be too hard probably. But as much as I don't really like the design of the Hi-Zack, I gotta say this head design is kind of charming though, so I will probably hang on to this and use it for some other future kit bash or something. As for the kit itself, I just don't really like this kind of weird beard mustache looking thing that it's got on here with these armor panels covering up the front of the piping bits there. It's strange, but if we remove the head underneath here, you can see you do have a switch for moving that side to side for moving the mono eye. So while the kit is pretty old, it does have a nice option of being able to move the mono eye like that, and that just fits onto here. You can see there's a track here. That is for this part up here on the backpack. So while the head is connected via just the kind of standard neck ball joint there, it is also supported by this part up there on the backpack, so when it moves on that track up there. Another sticker here for the blue center part of this yellow part there on the backpack. And aside from the mono eye, the only other sticker then is this big red stripe here on the top. This part, of course, also moves like that. You can just rotate that around. So up and down movement of the head is kind of non-existent. You're not really meant to move it that way, but you can rotate it side to side, only to that much. That's the extent of that movement there. The arms are plugged onto a body just by a straight peg there, so no moving forward and back. Basically, you can just rotate the arms up a little bit here and get the shield off and out of the way, but you can bring the arms up to like that's about it. More than 45 degrees a little bit, but not even close to 90 degrees upwards there. You got some rotation right above the elbow joint there, and then just a single joint for the elbow, giving you, again, probably about 90 degrees if you're being generous with that. The hand is just on a ball joint, pretty simple. Obviously you're not going to have any sort of ab crunch or anything here in the stomach section, but you can just rotate that a little bit there. The front skirts are joined. You can just move those up and down a little bit, only up to about there. The side skirts also can move up and down a little bit. These parts on the backpack I find fall out a little bit too easily. The little ball joint there is not quite big enough to hold these in place, but those are meant to just be up there in the backpack, and you can kind of angle them out like that, but they do tend to just fall out kind of easily. Otherwise, the back skirt does not move there, that's just fixed. The hips are just ball and socket joints, ball and socket polycap ball joints in there, so those can like rotate a little bit. Can bring the leg forward up to about there, that's going to be about the extent of that. The knee bend is double joint, but it's really only going to give you, again, about 90 degrees maybe out of that, not really too much. An ankle is just also on a ball joint, so that will just move a little bit side to side, a little bit forward, a little bit back, nothing really too much. Up underneath the feet, no hollow spaces, at least you got full detail up underneath there. But overall, articulation going to be pretty minimal. But of course, articulation not your only concern, as you do have lots of seam lines on this kit as well too, here on the front of the leg and around here on the back of the leg as well there. Also on the thigh, on the back of the thigh, you got a seam line going down the middle of that. And then on the front of the thigh, you have a kind of like panel line detail, but then on that kind of hose looking part up there, you've got a seam line going through that detail section at the top of the thigh there. You got a seam line here on the forearm, right above the hand there, and then around on the back of the arm at the elbow, and once again on the back side of the forearm above the hand. You got a seam line on the side of the bicep armor up in there, obviously through the shoulder armor, you got a big seam line right down the middle of that as well too. And then on the top of the torso, kind of between the head and the shoulder, you've got a seam line on the body there as well, which is again a pretty normal place for a high grade. But yeah, obviously this kit is going to be a little bit dated feeling. Now to put this up on an action base, you will have to use one of these adapters here, which will fit up into there. Now the only problem with these two is that not only do they just not really hold the kits all that well, but also they inhibit the movement of the thighs, the hips. You're not able to move them out quite as far, or they'll just kind of force it off the ball joint there like it's done in this case. Because basically adding a layer of plastic between the center part of the hip section and the leg, so you're adding a little piece in there that's just kind of inhibiting the movement even more already. So that's the other reason why this kind of action-based adapter is not very good. But I mean, no one's really going to be buying this kit because it's the peak of high-grade technology by any means. Even in 2009, I gotta wonder if this was really kind of impressing anyone even at that time, because there was other, I mean, 2009, that's when the RG came out, and I think the G30th version of the HG Gundam came out the same year. I mean, it's when you have like other stuff coming out. It's so good. I mean, even at that time, I gotta wonder if this was really kind of leaving some people disappointed too at that time. But anyway, while the kit certainly shows signs of age, it's still just a very cool, unique design that I think deserves some appreciation for at least that, if nothing else. And while on its own, it certainly is going to take some love to get it really looking its best. For me, I think probably what I'll ultimately end up using this for is for kit bash fodder, to be honest. I'll probably end up using that head and backpack and some parts just for a kit bash or something, just because I don't know, the rest of the body doesn't really do a whole lot for me, but it is such a cool design there for the head, having that big massive radome on there like that. We'll just have to get rid of that mustache on the front as well too, I think. But anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts on the kit down in the comment section below. Have any of you guys built this kit? Obviously it's been around for a while, so I imagine some of you have probably built it. If you've done anything cool with yours, let me know. If you ended up painting yours, modifying it, kit bashing it, or anything like that. So I'm always curious to know what you guys do with your takes on the kits. But as always, guys, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store, where you can check out all the different high grade kits and everything else we've got available there on the site, and you can save 10% off everything using my coupon code there, ZakuAurelius10, so check that out. And as always, just thank you so much for watching and for your guys' support. I really appreciate it. Until next time, I hope you're all having a great day. I'll see you guys later. Bye.